Alright guys, for today's video we're going to do Blitz RC Works Banana Hobby SR-71. This is what it looks like in the box. So let me tear into the box and then I'll go ahead and we'll start the build. Alright guys, welcome back to the shop. We have here the Blitz RC Works SR-71 and the Banana Hobby SR-71 6 channel. You could probably do it with less than 6 channels. This is the front of the fuselage. These are the verticals. The shock cones that go in front of the engines, right there. And of course, the main body. Servos are already installed. Retracts are already installed. This is where the receiver area, where that would go. And this is the top of the airplane basically. Before I even start, I'm going to tell you something about CG. Go ahead and measure the CG. When you do it, the CG is going to be right on the line right here. Right on this line where the vent is, or the simulated vent is. Right in the front right there. That's where your CG is at. I don't know if you can see it clearly. I put in some black decals right there. It says lift here on my side. And that's where the CG is at. There's not a lot of parts to it basically. You know, you got the two bodies, the two rudders, and the two cones basically. A tube of glue. This is like contact cement and it does an okay job. You use whatever you want to use. I prefer to use that glue just so I can get done with it quicker, especially if I'm building, you know, something for a video or I'm at the flying field. I don't have to wait for this thing to completely harden and glue properly. Just like last time, the first thing I'm going to do is just get some of the paint off the areas, and I'm just using a straight edge ruler. You can use, for example, an X-Acto knife. Just be careful to not, you know, be cutting away foam when you're doing it. And you don't need to take off all of the paint. You just need to take off enough so that when you glue it, it'll go ahead and stay there. It'll go ahead and glue the two parts. You want to try to avoid trimming it at an angle, so you're not taking the paint off, or when you put it together that you see the paint missing. I'll show you right now, and just, you know, with an X-Acto, if I'm using the X-Acto knife, I'm just trying to hold it as flat as possible against the surface, so I only take off the paint from the middle, not from the outside. And you know, it doesn't have to be perfect or whatever. You don't have to take it all off. This is what mine looks like right now. I'll do that to the fuselage, the back fuselage, and I'll do that to the nose. And basically, even the ruler does a good job, because that way you're not scratching too much. Basically, you take off some of the paint off, and then you test fit it to see if it's going to fit on there properly. And before you glue it, you don't have to do this step, but I just like to do that all the time to get a better glue joint, a better glue adhesion. I always, you know, make indentations on the foam, and you don't have to make large ones. You don't have to get overboard. You don't have to go overboard. You don't have to get crazy. But basically, I mean, with the tip of a small Allen wrench or anything else, you know, you can even do it with the X-Acto knife. And what I'm gonna do is just make a couple of indentations right there, and that's basically so when there's the CA goes in there, it fills up that void, and when it mates to the other surface, it acts as a stronger glue joint. And in areas where there's small surfaces or whatever, you just go in there with an X-Acto knife and just make, you know, small little holes in there. They don't have to be large or anything. You just want to, like I said, just capture some of the CA in there. To act, basically I call it nails, act as a nail against the other surface. There's two battery compartments on the SR-71. The one in the front is going to be for your battery. The one in the back, the fuselage, is going to be for all your connections and RX and stuff. So what you want to do is, when you're putting it on there, you want to make sure that your cables from the nose, one for your retract and one for your steering, go from the front to the back, and then from the back to the front. You want to make sure the cable for the batteries is going in there. So you don't have to fish it later on. And what you want to do first is, before you glue anything, you just want to make sure that you do a good test fit and put them in there, and make sure it's gonna look properly. You're not gonna have any gaps or anything. And once you're satisfied with that it's gonna fit properly, you can go ahead and glue it. Now, I didn't put the glue on here. Give me a sec while I get that. And I go to enough events where I always have a variety of the glue. On our side, on the West Coast, Paul Stenberg is always at the events, and when you sign up for example, Arizona Jet Rally, Tucson Jet Rally, and all that, we get bottles as part of the registration because Zap is one of the major sponsors down here. So that's why I have so many of them. And then, let's see, I know I made holes in the forward fuselage. I didn't check the front, the rear fuselage. So I'm just gonna make a couple of indentations. They don't have to be big. In smaller surfaces, go ahead and use the X-Acto knife. And you don't want them at the outside edges of the fuselage, or outside edges of the shield there, or where the glue is gonna go. You don't want it up top over here, because then it's gonna spill out to the outside surface of the actual airplane. So like I said earlier, go ahead and pass your cables through. Make sure they go to where you need them. Since this cable for the batteries is a little thick, it makes it it can get in the way, basically, or prevent you from putting the two surfaces together. So once you got them both going in there, and you're sure that you can get them into both through both pockets, go ahead and measure it again. And then when you're satisfied with the look it's going to be, you can go ahead and glue it. Now let me go ahead and check my glue. I didn't even check to see if it was dripping. Yes, it does. And I should have opened the door. It's a little warm in here, but whatever, let's get on with it. So I'm not gonna pull it out completely this time. I'm just gonna go ahead and put some glue around the surface over here, and I'm gonna put some glue on both sides real quick. I'm not putting a lot because I do want to fill up whatever holes I made, but I don't want the glue dripping down or anything like that. You just want enough to cover the area, and then you can come back. Once you put it together, you can come back and hit it from whatever outside surface is still there. Any gap or whatever that's still there, you can go ahead and fill it up with some CA. So I'll go ahead and put it together now before the glue dries up. And I'm not gonna do any kickers because this is black. And we'll just wait a couple of seconds here, about a minute or so for it to harden, and then we'll go ahead and move on to either the shock cones or the tail. And basically, once this is glued, we'll check the tail, and we'll just do the same, scraping off some of the paint. It doesn't take long. Now, while this is drying, this type of airplane is considered a flying wing. Depending on your radio, you're gonna have to do some mixing on the microzone radios. There's a little switch on there for VTail. On Futaba, you just set up a VTail on there, and it'll do all the programming for you in the Futaba. The VTail is channel 1 and 2. If you're using a Futaba, I don't know why, but it does channel 1 and 6 on most Futaba radios. I'm using the 18MZ for this one. I know it's a little overkill, but still. Anyway, but Spectrum, I don't know what the channels are for elevator and aileron. Is basically one side is aileron and the other one's elevator. So once this thing is dry, which there you go, it's already dried. If you want to go ahead and fill in the gap with some CA, you're welcome to do so. Just make sure you grab a napkin ahead of time, so if you have any overlap, you can go ahead and just remove it or clean it off with a napkin. So basically, here are the vertical fins or rudders, whatever you want to call them. And then what we're going to do is you're going to clean off some of that foam the paint off the foam where it goes into the body right here. We want to make sure again we get a good adhesion, and like I said, you don't need to go crazy. Not 100% of that paint has to come off. It's not a big deal. You just want to make sure that you get enough so when you do glue it together, you get a good glue joint. If you look at once you look at the vertical fin / rudder, whatever you want to call it, you'll see there's an indentation where you can see how far the rudder goes into the fuselage. There's not a line mark, but you can see where there's a difference right here of I guess the way that it's formed or shaped right there. You can see a little bit of an angle. Don't know if you can see it on the phone there, but basically you can see that it doesn't go in all the way. So you just want to make sure that you get, for example, if I test fit it here, you just want to make sure that you get enough remove paint from here, below here. You don't want to catch it. You don't want to take paint above the surface where you're going to be gluing, because then it'll show off after you glue it. You'll see where there's paint missing. I mean, if this is black, you could probably get a flat black Sharpie, or a Sharpie that doesn't look shiny or glittery, and just go over the line, and then there you go. You'll be back on there. So now that test fitted that one in there, you can see that it's barely about 1/4 inch right there. So I'll go ahead and remove the paint on here, just like I did with the first one, and then I'll show them to you guys. And again, I'm just using the straight edge or the X-Acto knife for this one, not the metal ruler that I have here with me. And see, that's about as much. It's about 1/4 inch, I guess, where the line is where the paint will have to come off. And you'll do it for both sides and the bottom, especially the bottom. Again, you want a good glue joint, and you're not gonna get one if all that it does is glue the paint together. This one goes into the cavity pretty well, so it's not really gonna come off. But that's what you have the potential to happen. If it was just paint to paint, the glue can just come, remove the paint from one side or the other, and then just fly off. I'll do that to the bottom as well, a little bit. And then this is pretty thick on the bottom, and also inside the airplane. There you go. And again, you just want to poke a couple of small holes. They don't have to be big. If you can't puncture it with a small Allen wrench on there properly, just get your X-Acto knife and then just spin it around like that a little bit. And you want to do that also in the fuselage. You don't want to go too deep, but go ahead and punch a couple of holes in the bottom of it, where it's not going to show. And then I'm just going to cut off, remove some of the paint here in the top, so you can see. I don't know how easy it's going to be to see. I'm removing paint from the sides, from the bottom there. You have to get like a small flat blade screwdriver or something else. On this one, it's going to be difficult unless to get to the bottom. You can use a flat blade or anything else that's small to get in there. I can use, here we go, just a small flat blade screwdriver, not a Phillips, and then just scrape some of the paint off there. And then as soon as I'm done here getting some of this paint off, I'll show you guys what it looks like. Now I've done one side. I've done the top side here, the one closest to me. I have not done the other one. So I don't know if you can see into the sidewall there, and then in the middle. All right, and then we'll go ahead and we can start with the vertical fins, aka rudders. And there's already an angle preset into the fuselage there. There's already an angle here, so unless you put them backwards, I don't think there's a way you can put them in there wrong. Or you try to put, don't try to adjust it or put it vertical. They're supposed to be incanted a little bit, pointing in a little bit, not too much. I don't know the exact degree, but you know what? It's a small airplane. It's not that critical. Just don't try to force it to some shape it is not. And I'm gonna put glue on the bottom, and then glue on the bottom here too, on the bottom of the fin. And then I'll take some to the sides. You wanna do the bottom first, because that way there's no glue dripping from the sides. If you put, again, it doesn't need to have a lot of glue, it just needs to be uniform all the way across. And then just put it in there. And that's basically done. I don't have to hold that one because of the pocket is there. So let me go ahead and start the other side. And basically, again, I'm just gonna take some more paint off, and then because I haven't done it at the bottom of this one, and then I'll do the bottom of the cavity in the fuselage there. And again, the goal is not to remove every single piece of paint in there, because it's going to be very difficult. The point is to remove enough to where you can make a good glue joint. You don't want to do too rough here, because you don't want to start digging into the foam. You don't want to start, with the X-Acto, you don't want to start cutting foam when you're taking it out. There you go. And then I'll get the flat blade and do the bottom here. And you can hear that going on. Yeah, I guess, you can't see it, but just know that I'm getting some of the paint off. And then I'm going to use the X-Acto knife for the side walls again. And you don't want to take paint off the top where you're going to glue it, because then it'll show that there's paint missing, Then again, you can get some touch-up paint and go all over it. Or you can get an Sharpie, a black Sharpie will probably do the best job quicker. So you don't have to worry about getting touch-up paint or anything like that. A Sharpie that is not glitter or shiny will take care of that real good. Now that's done. I'll go back and I can do it this time with a flat blade, just a couple of small holes. You don't have to go too deep. You just want to get the glue, a couple of places to grab. If you find it that if the foam is thicker, or you find out that it's difficult to do it with the Allen wrench, just go ahead and grab your X-Acto knife and just make small holes. I'm not trying to do them on the side here. I'm doing them on the bottom and the bottom of the cavity. And once I'm done there, I'm going to apply glue to the fuselage a little bit on the side, then on the bottom of the cavity. And then here, I'm going to do the bottom again real quick. Not too much. The only thing I'm trying to do on the bottom here is go ahead and try to fill up some of those holes that I created. You don't want to put too much glue on it if you're holding it, because then it'll drip. Or when you put it on the airplane, it might be too much. And then just go ahead and put it on there. And there is a little bit too much on this one, and I have a drip. So that's what I'm telling you, try not to do too much, because then you get it on there and then you have to clean it up. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there for now, because then it's starting to dry. And then I can clean it up later on, either with a Sharpie or with whatever on there. I had too much on the bottom of the fuselage this time. So, that's the basic build already. That's the fuselage put together, the tail's on there. Next comes the shock cones on the engine mounts, on the front of the engines. And it's plastic, so it's very static, clingy. There's a lot of little felt or dirt that clings onto it. Clean off as much as you can. Before you do anything with the shock cones, know that they don't go all the way into the front of they don't cover all the gap that's there. There is going to be some residual or leftover gap in there a little bit. So don't try to put them in all the way in. And I don't know if these are painted on the inside or the outside. I can find out real quick. It looks like they're painted on the outside. So you can just scrape it a little bit, or take a sandpaper and sand it. You want to sand the inside, not the outside, obviously. And you can do this, like I said, with sandpaper. And again, just take an X-Acto knife and remove paint, not from all the shock cone mounts, but like half of it, if you will. And you don't have to take off a lot. This is not a structural piece, so I don't see it flying around or flying off. So you don't really have to take off a lot. I did, scrape it a little bit in there, and then just put a little bit of glue. It doesn't need a lot. It's not a structural piece. It's just a little plastic piece that goes on there, you know, basically to complete the look. I have one on there, and I'll go ahead and turn it around so you guys can see that. And while you guys look at that, I'll go ahead and put on the other one. This ones are not rocket science. So all you have to do is put them on there more or less straight. You know, there's no angles. Don't remember, the real one has a little bit of an angle pointing inwards towards the fuselage, or they were just straight. I don't recall, honestly, if there's any angle on it. Probably there's nothing on there. But basically, you know, do what's best for you. If you think they need to have a little angle, research, you know, look at the picture of the real one and then go ahead and put it in. For my purposes, I'm just gonna put them in straight as possible as I can. So, you know, just go a little dab of glue all the way around. It doesn't need a lot. It's not a structural piece. And then go ahead and put it on there. And now both of them are in there. There's one. There's the second one. Now, for all intents and purposes, the structural part of this airplane is now complete. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to go into the radio part of this. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over here. And then I'll get my receiver. I'm just putting a Futaba 6 channel receiver. I'm going to put channel 1 as ailerons. And then on a Futaba radio and most radios, I don't know if Spectrum is the same, the lead goes towards the inside of the fuselage or the inside of the receiver. So the lead, this yellow wire, goes towards the inside of the receiver, not towards the outside. Okay, so that's channel 1. And then your other aileron, this is retracts, that'll be number 5. And this is channel 2, is this elevator on this one. So since I'm using the Futaba, this is going to go into channel 6 because that's how the way the V-tail does it on Futaba. Again, all the signal wires are going towards the inside. This is going to be the retracts right here, and this is the throttle. And see, it says channel 5 retracts right here, and they're already connected. Now there's a female lead right here, and that's for the retract that came in from the nose. So then now I have to find the cable that I plugged in from the nose in here and fish it out. But for now, I'm going to show you, I'll skip that for now. I'll get it out in a little bit. For now, I'm going to show you the programming. So, I mean, it's not, I'm going to turn on my Futaba. Now, since all the radios are different, even the Futabas and everything else, I'm not going to show you the screen just for simplicity. And I'm just going to basically go into new model, model type, and select airplane, and then wing type, flying wing. So let me rename it. All right, so now instead of new model, it says SR-71. Flying, new model is flying wing. Since I'm using the 7 channel, it is set for fast multi. So now I just have to connect it to the receiver and bind it. On Futaba, there's a little bind button on here that you press it, and then when you turn on the receiver, it should detect the radio. I think I already have this one bound, even though it wasn't set to the proper type. I'm pretty sure I had it on the new model already. All right, so then he's alive. The elevator function is backwards, and so is the aileron. So what I have to do is reverse my aileron and reverse my elevator. So right now that's up elevator is going down. Same thing with the steering. Let me flip it over here, and so you can see it properly. And you see that that's up elevator, it's going the wrong way. And this is right turn and it's going left, and same thing with the other one. So let me reverse both of those channels real quick. And then servo reverse, 1 and 6. And now, there we go, right aileron, or right turn, left aileron, left turn, up elevator, down elevator. Now, the retract should be connected already, except for the nose. I haven't connected the nose yet. So let me put the gear down. Oh, I have to assign a gear to the switch. The other way around, I have to assign a switch to the retracts. Function, gear, SE. Okay. Okay, and okay. So now the gear, I'm flipping the switch. Wow, they come down real fast. So these are servo operated landing gear. So basically these are working at the speed of the servo, and that's way too much. So I'm actually just gonna slow down the speed there. Let me see if I can do that here easily. Function, and then I got to go into ATV. Nope, it's not there. Under the switch itself. All right, I'm gonna slow them down. I'm not gonna waste you guys time waiting here, and then just know that we'll have to slow them down a little bit. It requires a 4S battery, if I'm not mistaken, 4S 2200. The CG says 78 millimeters from the front of the shot cone. That means from here going back. So 78 millimeters from the front of the shot cone is exactly or the front of the engine itself, basically. That means it's exactly where that is exactly where this line is at, like I mentioned earlier. See this panel right here, which in the rear one I believe is a vent. It's basically right 78 millimeters is right here on this one right there, right in front of that indentation, the one in the front right there. So that's why I don't know if you can really see the black sticker right here. It says lift here. And basically what I do is I have them in red and in black. I get this from Cali Graphics, and I put them on all my airplanes so I don't have to remember where the CG is at. They don't really give you controls. They give it to you as far as percent of travel. I'll find out what the percent of travel is for this thing, and then post it up later on when I'm doing the CG. The other thing I'm doing with this one that I have, Carrie had the special on the fans last week or 2 weeks ago, so I got 2 of them fans, 2 of the X-Fly fans for this. I really like, I don't know you're gonna be able to see it inside the airplane, but it has the painting inside the spinner there, and I'll put them on there and we'll see what happens. These are supposed to be a lot faster or give you a little bit more power than the stock units, and this is not basically for you don't have to upgrade it. This is something I wanted to do to my personal airplane, and that's what I got. So I got 2 of those, and here's the other one. Here we go. And then I'll put these on here, and then we'll have a good flying airplane out there. We'll see. All right, guys. from Sweaty, Arizona. I think this is it for now. I gotta still connect the line from the forward retract to the back, and then it's on a white cable. It's already hidden. It's already in there for the nose retract, and also for the steering. There's a cable coming back from the steering. And that would just basically be channel 4. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and hit me up or text me. Email me or post them on reply on YouTube, because this is where this is gonna end up at. And last but not least, somebody sent me questions about last time. Since I built at night, mostly on the Saturdays or Friday nights, or even Sunday nights, somebody asked me, "Hey Ralph, do you really have that many extensions?" And sad to say, unfortunately, I do. Here's one box that I have. It's nothing but extensions, and there's 2 similar boxes, and then just it's a bag of extensions, and then a bunch of, and there's I don't know, bags and bags of extensions. It's just in the middle of the night when I'm building, and it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to stop just because I don't have the cable that I need. Same thing with smaller servos. I have a ton of smaller servos, and they're from 90 size or 120 size airplanes down. As far as the bigger jets, I don't stock that many servos, but the other servos I buy them in bulk, and I buy them in. There's probably easy over 100 servos in here, and they're either positive or negative, and it just depends on the size that I need. I have multiple, just bag upon bags, and the other one was positive. These are positive as well. These are 45 gram, and here's the reversed ones. So I just have a ton of servos, just because for the smaller jets or some of the other items, it just pays to have them. That's just my opinion. Let me get these out of the way. And there's even bigger servos. So these are 8 kg metal gear. Anyway, it is what it is. That's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.